before 14 minutes, it's usually kind of risky to roam as Yasuo, except in the example I just gave you, where your Zed is about to reset, you're really healthy, and he's going to reset, right? And you've got the wave pushed in. So that gives you about 60 seconds to go roam. So pre 14 minutes, an example like that is the only time you'd roam. Otherwise, what you do is you get priority and then you just hover. So you come like down here and you just sit here, like up here or up here near Rift. And you never really commit to a full roam, either top or bot. But you're more just being there in case shit goes down. And so you're already halfway there. So I want you more to get in the habit of, if you always have prio in lane, you should push this lane in and then bounce. And hey guys, if you're looking to understand how to beat specific champion matchups for your champion pool, like in the video you're just about to watch, please make sure you check out the links in the description below to get your game reviewed just like this one with me or one of my challenger coaches. Let's get into the video. Let's watch first Dragon just in case.
I honestly forgot what that first death was.
Okay.
If you want to look at that.
Yep.
Yeah. So if I...
Alright, so assume it's a bit of aggression here. Okay, let's go. Okay, cool. So you're pushing in wave. Nice. That's not bad, okay.
And then his recline, I'm just pushing the wave, trying to stop him.
Yeah.
And then I get ganked right by.
And you go for the fight.
Yeah.
And then you go back in.
I think I could have just like ran away and survived.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah. So this is the first issue. You're just trying to force too much when you're 3-0, right? You just need to take a breath. Like, look how much gold you're up. Like, you're up 800 gold. You don't need to kill a 0-3 Z. Like, you're not worth it. You're a 600 gold shutdown right now. He's worth about like 180 gold or something.
Yeah.
And so look what you do. You take a turret hit to hit a Q that's pointless. Like, all you're going to do is stop his recall. You don't actually want to stop his recall. You really actually just want to shove this and then rotate. Right? So this is a really good example of what you want to do when you've got a lane lead and you want to win the game. You need to expand your lead as soon as possible. So this is like a perfect example of why you probably are having these really big leads in lane, but then you're not able to win game, is because you're not actually extending your lead to your teammates. And, you know, we don't want to be... It's really hard to 1v9. I know Yasuo is a bit of a 1v9 player, but if we can do anything to get our allies ahead, it's always a good thing. Particularly when they're not playing too bad. Like, Nocturne doesn't seem like he's doing too bad. Samira and Lulu have died once each, but that's still playable. So yeah, what I'd suggest instead of doing this is don't cancel the recall, dragons up, hard push this, and then rotate down to bot lane. Or to take dragon. But then we take this trade, you get out, by the way, then you come back in.
Yeah.
Then you get out, and then you go back in. Yeah. So just really greedy.
And I don't even think I like fully spent that gold either. Maybe. No, okay, never mind, I did.
Yeah. Cool. So next death like that. Actually, maybe we just look at a lot of your deaths and key team fights. We can do it like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
do you think buying New Quiver first, if I'm ahead, is bad or no?
What would you go as your alternative?
Maybe like crit or recurve bow.
I mean, you could. I think Noonquiver's a good item though. I think it's better than recurve bow. Because what are you building? Kraken first?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. What's your standard? So you go Kraken into...
Bloodthirster into either Jack Show,
yeah,
Frozen Heart, or I kind of gave up on the whole even Shroud thing. And it's like, it's good, but it's like not all that.
Yeah. Could you give I really want to see how you do with Gale Force because of your play style, because I think you're doing some really crazy shit where an extra dash would be really good, either for an escape or an engage. I'd really like to see you go Gale Force first, and then like interchanging that with like Bloodthirster second or Kraken second.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing, like, before it got nerfed, so...
Yeah. But the Gale Force, the nerf is fine because it's more about the extra dash it gives you. That's why it's such a good item. It's not so much about the stats it gives, because Yasuo thrives off attack speed and crit.
Yeah. But still, the damage is great. I mean...
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll watch this drag.
I have also been using Stormrazor recently.
Okay. How you been finding that?
Very fun. I still think, like, I could be using, like, sometimes they're like, oh, I could have finished that off if I had a Kraken, but it's still, like, I feel like if I'm really just dominating lane, then I just build Stormrazor other than Kraken.
Yep. Okay, I like it. Again, Gale Force is really good for lane domination as well, because the extra dash...
Zeal. Zeal is very... very good power spike.
I would like to see Gale Force first for the next few games and see how you go.
Okay.
Cool. So that was a really good example of like the roam bot, except you should have done it when I said rather than there. Like it was an okay roam, but you should have done it, earlier.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So there's a fight that happens there. Okay, cool. Why are you not in this fight? Yeah.
So, usually when I roam, I end up missing a lot of CS. So, how long should I be staying in that lane when I'm roaming? So, it's like, every single time I roam, I feel like I get hella punished.
Yeah. So what do you have a bit of a standard practice of roaming? Like, what do you think about when you're roaming?
I'm usually thinking about my own lane and also, like, the lane state. Of whatever lane I'm going to, like, see if there's a big wave stacking up.
Yeah.
Seeing it, like, where the wave is currently.
Yeah. So you'll
the positions of the enemy.
Okay. Awesome. No, that's good. And so you'll usually push out your lane before you roam, correct?
Yes.
Like you get prior? Okay, cool. So basically, the short answer is before 14 minutes, it's usually kind of risky to roam as Yasuo, except in the example I just gave you, where your Zed is about to reset, you're really healthy, and he's going to reset, right? And you've got the wave pushed in. So that gives you about 60 seconds to go roam. So pre-14 minutes, an example like that is the only time you'd roam. Otherwise, what you do is you get priority and then you just hover. So you come like down here and you just sit here, like up here or up here near Rift. And you never really commit to a full roam, either top or bot. But you're more just being there in case shit goes down. And so you're already halfway there. So I want you more to get in the habit of, if you always have prio in lane, you should push this lane in and then bounce. And go out of vision. Rather than trying to sit under tower, like trying to hit him with your Qs and stuff. No, just bounce out. Particularly in a game like this where you're up, you need to extend your lead as soon as possible so you can close this game out. Your win con is no longer killing Zed or getting CS in a game like this. It's extending your lead to help lanes like your, bot lane, as an example. Cool. So you're not in this fight purely because they're just fighting. Okay, good example.
So, should I, hover around with my junglers?
Yeah. So real good example here is you push the wave and look what you do with all your time. You're just sitting waiting for the next wave. Yeah. You could, be here with Mordekaiser. Maybe there's nothing on. You could even be already halfway down to bot lane. And maybe you go for the 2v2 here if you had your sums up. You don't. But it's a good example of why you shouldn't just be sitting around in lane. Cool. because we can't really autopilot. It's really hard to climb just by autopiloting these days, and this gameplay is looking like just autopiloting. Like, you're very good on your Yasuo, but you're killing yourself because you autopilot your leads. You just basically, you know, you get all these kills, you put in all this hard work, and then you just cruise, expecting the win. Cool. It's a good dive by Mordekaiser. Let's. Oh my god. Okay. Nice. You get the kill. We take those.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job by them. Okay. Cool. Where does this game go to shit? Okay, so there's a fight somewhere here. Okay, cool.
Because the thing is with me is that, like, the reason why I don't like roaming whenever I'm, like, beating someone in lane is because, like, I feel like they'll get ahead. And then the whole game, like, screws up. Because that's what, like, happened before, like, a few times. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just, like, make this guy completely useless the whole game.
No, I completely understand it. That's why it's the pre-14-minute rule. So if you leave lane, Zed is only going to be able to get CS. He is not going to be able to catch up 4 kills by just getting CS for 2 waves. Because he's not getting platings and he's staying in lane while you roam. So think about what he's going to get. He's going to get maybe 150, 200 gold. You can potentially get 600 gold plus a turret. Or, you know, 600 gold plus a dragon. But the maximum he can get is those 2 waves. Zed cannot one-shot this turret in 1 crash post 14 minutes. So pre-14 minutes as a Yasuo, don't think about roaming too much unless it's super obvious. AKA, you've got tempo in lane, you're healthy, and you've sent your enemy mid laner back to base. That's a perfect roam timer.
Okay.
But then post 14, what you got to think about is, well, you're okay with losing 1 or 2 waves to your turret because what you're getting is way more important than that. And after 14 minutes, the objective doesn't become farming. You've had enough time to farm. You're at 115 CS at 13 minutes. You got 4 kills. Now we've got to start using all this gold you've got to kill people and to help your team out. So pre-14, only look for roams, like only full commit to roams, like that Zed example, where you've pushed them out of lane. And then still pre-14, I want you to do the movement where you go into the river and you walk halfway. And then you make a decision while you're halfway. You look at your lane and you go, okay, should I come back to lane? Or okay, should I go for this gank?
So, post 14, do you think buying Sweeper is good? Or just like stick with control wards?
If you're ahead in a game like this again, I would say buy sweepers. And if you're finding you're roaming out a lot because you always have priority, yes, buy the control ward. The red trinket, yeah. Sorry, I call it a different name every time because I'm used to all the old names.
I call it control wards, I call it red trinket, I call it paint. It's a mess.
Okay, cool. So this is a really good example of a... Did you just flash? Oh, no, you didn't flash. It was a glitch. Cool. This is a really good example of a pre-14-minute roam. Why is this good?
Zed is away from lane.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he's forced out of lane, and I can't even really say, like, the lane speed's good. I don't know.
Yeah. How did Zed get here without you being there? Okay, so he just didn't... Okay, so he didn't come to lane. Okay, he goes for a bot gank. See, that's smart by Zed. That's something you could do if you're the 0-4 in this situation. What he's done here is actually really smart. Okay. So he's done something crazy.
I don't take turret for that?
Yeah.
I was at the time I was thinking, like, where's Vi?
Yeah.
That's smart. Okay.
No, it's smart what you do here. This is the right call.
And do you think covering right there is good?
It's fine because there's nothing else on.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep, you can fight Vi every day of the week. Nice. Well done. Good. Mastery mode. You should be pinging... What should you be pinging right now?
Dragon.
Yeah. You got to get in the habit of shot calling when you kill people like the jungler. Because your goal in this game, you want to end this game as soon as possible and get to the next game. Because you're in a grind set mode where you're trying to get to gold, you're trying to climb. It's like, yeah, you can have fun, but you're already having fun. You're 5-1. But let's clean up this game and just move on to the next one. And so you always got to be thinking about, okay, I get a kill. What can we get for that kill? Cool, we can get dragon. So your immediate instinct after killing the jungle at 14 minutes with dragon up should be dragon. Let's do it. And so this is good. Taking the turret's fine as well. You could have just taken the turret there. That's okay. Yep, cool. You take it, now rotate to drag. Rotate to drag. I know you've got I mean, you do have 2.8k. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I still think the dragon still might have been more worth it.
Yeah, because I think also...
I could have stopped that. I definitely could have stopped that if I didn't drag.
Yeah. And I also think you may have even stopped Nocturne from doing that if you ping Dragon. Maybe you guys do Dragon instead of him, like, suiciding there.
Yeah. The thing is, I was thinking, like, this was, like, after the like, lesson. And I was like, oh, I'm sitting on an AFK timer. I should probably recall.
Yeah. Okay. That's not bad. Alright, cool. What do I not like about you going mid lane in this scenario here?
Look at bot lane, like they're all pushed up. I have a whole minion wave to play off of, and Lulu and Samira we can just collapse on them pretty much.
Yeah. Even you and Lulu can probably win that.
Yeah.
But instead, look, you're staying mid.
Yeah.
And look what Zed's done all of a sudden being 0-4. He's technically had more impact in the game than you have. Like, you've killed him. Sure, you've got 5 kills. Your kill on Vi was great, but you didn't capitalize it. All you did was recall. Buy items, and then you've got this massive power spike, but what do? You don't go and test something with your new shiny items. All you do is go and farm. Right, so it's just autopiloting. You're just going to mid. So after 14 minutes, always look outside of mid lane. Like, you almost never want to be coming to mid lane unless the wave's crashing to your turret. Or you're trying to get priority to go to Rift or to go to Dragon. And you need this wave pushed in.
It's like, basically what I'm thinking right now is, how can I extend my lead, but also, like, I'm just pretty much farming, trying to make the lead bigger for no reason instead of actually making an impact.
Exactly, yeah. There comes a point where CSing is actually losing you money because you're so far ahead at the moment, and all you're doing with your lead is CSing. Whereas you could be getting kills, you could be taking dragons, you could be, helping your laners who are struggling a bit. All these things. You could have even taken Rift that whole time, but instead you pushed, one wave, walked around here for a bit, took Scuttle, and then you come back to mid lane.
Okay, so I should probably analyze that game where Faker got over I think it was 350 farm, maybe 400, and lost the game. I should probably go over that because I can see why that loses games.
Was it a solo queue game?
No, I'm pretty sure it was in pro play.
Well, pro play is a little bit harder because they're on comms, and so they could be telling Faker, hey, or Faker could be telling them, hey, I'm going to farm, let me farm or whatever. So it's very different to a solo queue game. But it could be good to review. I think you'd find more value in reviewing games like this even on your own when I'm not here. Because, do you think watching this back now, the Vi example is a really good one. Do you think you could have identified that on your own or not? If you watched this review?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay. Alright, that's fine. So maybe we're not there for a stage to review yet, but maybe after a couple more sessions we will be. What are you doing? You're a psycho. Yeah. Serves you right. Yeah. And this is all because you just brain dead farmed mid. You didn't go anywhere. You didn't do anything. And so what Zed does is he goes, roams bot, gets a bounty on bot turret, then he comes mid and he kills you. Yeah. And you're still really far ahead in gold, but you've lost all your tempo. Cool. All right, let's look at the next big fight. Cool. You're not even here for the Look, see, and this is what you lose for your death. All of a sudden, they were like 4k gold behind. Now they're like only 2k. They're getting Rift Herald. So Zed is literally a great example of what you should be doing. Except Zed's doing it correctly. You're doing it incorrectly. Like, your team's quite far ahead, so this game's definitely not over. But look at all the action you're missing out on because you're dead. You're the strongest player in this game almost. Like, you would have been if you didn't die. You'd be the strongest player in this game right now, but instead you're death timed.
Yeah, and I see, like, even Nocturne is, like, even more ahead of me. Not even farming as much. So I just, like, I completed through that.
Yeah.
Because he's actually been around the map.
Yeah. And all you've done is you've killed Vi, which was really good, but besides that, you've only killed the Yasuo.
Yeah. It's like...
I hope you rotate to this fight. See, this is what I mean, like...
okay, I'm pretty sure I clear this wave and then I rotate, yeah.
But do you see what...
Oh my god.
Yeah, but do you also see why clearing this wave is redundant? It's what is it offering you? Think about this. What is this wave offering you compared to kills and helping your team?
The thing is, I'm probably thinking of it like kind of like lane phase, where I just like crash on the turret and then I deny CS. That's not the case. They're already off the map.
Yeah. I think it's the pre-14, post-14 mindset you got to get into. I think, and it's why you're so far ahead in laning phase and then you're losing games is because you take your laning phase mindset into mid and late game. And so you're just like, oh yeah, farm. Oh cool, there's farm. Oh cool, look, I'm going to go take this Gromp. I'm going to do that. Oh yes, I'm getting heaps of farm. Look, I'm 160 CS to 114. Like, I'm killing this. I'm 5-2, he's 1-4. But he's already having more influence on the rest of the map than you, because you're prioritizing farm so much. Yeah. So like think about pre-14.
Won that, yeah.
Yeah, and also think post-14. Farm is something you do when there's nothing else on the map to do. So if let's say Nocturne's in his jungle, Mordekaiser's dead, Samira and Lulu are here. Okay, farming mid's fine because nothing's happening on the map. But this immediately becomes the higher priority whenever a fight is happening, or a dragon, or a Rift Herald, or a Baron. You're smart enough to know when a fight's going to break out, because if the allied team is in a danger zone, like the enemy quadrant, well, you're a smart enough player to know that there's a potential fight there. But now what you need to do is connect, okay, there's a potential fight happening. I need to get there. I'm 5-2. I'm really strong. And look, now you rotate, but it's too late. You needed to rotate 30 seconds earlier. Cool, and all of a sudden, you're still ahead in gold, but it's becoming harder and harder, and your team's probably getting a little tilted.
Yeah.
Cool, now you're farming. I don't mind this, looking for the Vi, but...
Yeah.
Cool, let's speed up, look for the next one. Cool, we're grouped. See, this is fine because you've got 3 members mid. So I'm completely fine with you pushing now, because if something happens, you'll be there.
But I feel like pushing into tower like this is a bit psycho, though.
It's psycho, but it's not that psycho because you saw Vi and Zed here, and you know where Mordecai, you know where Tahm Kench is, so you're pretty safe. Also, you're pretty strong. Like, you're level 13 compared to like very weak players.
It's just the Vi knockback until definitely kill me there.
Yeah, for sure. Look at this. First time you leave lane for a kill, 19 minutes it took you. Oh god, this is messy.
Yeah. Oh, this was a bit dry. I remember this. Oh,
Yeah.
I really should not have taken that ult.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden, holy shit, they're within 3k gold and they can potentially get Baron here.
Yeah.
And I think that fight, this is why game reviews can be a bit tricky, but I think if we had roamed at those other times we talked about, this fight would probably never occur. Or if it did, you guys would have won it a lot harder because you wouldn't have lost this fight just now. The enemy team wouldn't have bought whatever items they got for that. And you guys might have won that engagement.
I am still learning a lot more than the live game review.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is much better format for you. I think it's too overwhelming, the live game, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see what you do here. What do you think you should be doing based on this game's context?
We're all there.
Yeah. What's on the map right now?
Okay. There's also that we don't necessarily have a lot of vision on blue team, but besides like Caitlyn and Lux, so that's the reason why I wasn't necessarily looking too much at that pick. Unless I was, I get caught. I swear.
What else is on the map besides Kate and Lux?
Dragon.
Yeah. And what does your team look like they're trying to do?
Dragon.
Yeah. So let's see what you do. I don't know what you do. I'm curious to see your thought process and then see what happens. Cool. So Mordekaiser collapses, and you guys are kind of. Okay, you guys are kind of split. This isn't the end of the world.
I'm just thinking I need to clear this wave and then go rotate the dragon.
Yep. You get here so late. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, what's the point in clearing that wave, those 3 extra CS, right? All you're doing is delaying your time to this fight.
I was thinking like, oh, maybe someone will just push that turret while we dragon. But also, like, I feel like they get less value off of that now. Yeah,
what do you think's more valuable, tier 2 or 3rd drag?
3rd drag. Even though tier 2 does get like a shit ton of gold, still, drag is more important, especially in this meta.
Yeah. And also, the dragon is going to be a guaranteed team fight. Like, look at everyone's situation here. This dragon is going to be a guaranteed team fight. And so I'd understand, like, clearing this to get a Q charged. So, like, okay, cool, I'm going to charge my Q. But like, look, you and Samira are spending all this, like, 5 seconds taking camps, and Nocturne's already died. Cool, you're here. You could have queued there, that's okay.
Yeah.
And now this fight is super compromised. Okay, we're playing.
Yeah.
Cool. Did we get him? Nice. This is better.
Oh, I hate that ult.
Oh, missed that Q. Missed that Q.
And then I breathed so hard. Yeah.
Yeah. This fight goes completely different if you come 3 seconds earlier. Nocturne doesn't die, and this fight is a lot less scrappy.
You think just diving the backline with Nocturne, if I did rotate fast enough, would have been better there?
Yeah.
Or just like play it out like I did before.
I think diving the backline with Yasuo, because you would have been like, if we come back, let's come back.
I think she does have a lot of peel.
Cool. So let's go back. So if you ignore this wave, okay. So as soon as Mordekaiser rotates, if you rotate as well, you're coming into here. So Nocturne kind of got caught out, to be honest, but you would be like here right now. Looking. But instead, like, look how far away you are.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Q here, but you don't use it. So he runs out. So you could have got a 2-man knock up on the Kate Lux there.
Yeah.
You didn't take it. And then this fight goes really messy. And you end up ulting their tankiest member, Tahm Kench, for nothing here. So look what you know. It kind of looked like you could have altered Lux, but you didn't actually hit the Q. So maybe that's what you're trying to do. The flash out is good as well. Like the flash onto the Lux. But it probably should have been the flash onto the Kate, because she's a lot more fed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then we just all die for that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, look at this gold lead now. It's only 1k gold. And you're thinking in your head, fuck, I'm 7-4. I've got 40 CS lead. Zed's 1-5. How are we losing this? And it's all because you're not coming to the fight at all, or you're coming too late. Because you're over prioritizing CS. If there's one thing you learn from this review, it's just after 14 minutes, stop prioritizing farm when you're ahead. And when your team, and you can tell this game's like a very fight heavy game. What is this? 47 kills in 22 minutes? You've been in 8, or you've been in 12 of the 47 kills or deaths. 8 out of 47. 8. You've been in 8 kills out of 26 on your team, and if you include your deaths, you've been in what 12 fights of 47. So you're just not in the game. Is that even 30% kill participation? It's so low. Whereas you've got like a third of your team's gold. You've got so much gold here, but you're not influencing the map.
Yeah, I really might as well just be like.
Yeah. And this is why a lot of people dislike Yasuo players, because it's so easy to just constantly go for the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, fuck, we've got a 7-4 Yas, but he's not doing anything. And you've done all the hard work. You beat your lane. Like, imagine getting 3 kills in laning phase at 8 minutes. Like, people would dream of that. And you did that with ease against this Zed, but you haven't been able to use it to capitalize on anything. Look, again, you're split from the team. So what happens here? Good, you rotate back. Now's the time not to farm. Where should you be instead?
Mid lane.
Yeah. Is this going to win you the game, farming these?
No, not at all.
Is the next team fight potentially going to win you the game?
Yes.
Yeah. Just think of it like that. Post 14, what is more likely to win me the game? The Krugs or grouping? The Krugs or Dragon? These 3 minions or Baron?
Yeah, I should probably stop looking at like these games in low elo, because they usually last like 30 to like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I should really stop looking at it as, oh, I just scaled, we win. Like, that's not going to win us the game.
Yeah. The game is too chaotic and unpredictable to be thinking about that mindset where you are right now. Because there are so many mistakes made in games like this. From you, from the enemy, from your allies, which allows all these chances for anyone to come back in the game and for anyone to win the game.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, I think, had like a 10k gold lead or something at like 15 minutes. And now you're down 2k gold. Cool. Now the game's really hard for you guys to win. All of a sudden, this game's become harder. Every team fight gets a little bit harder because they're playing catch up. They've caught up a little bit more. And now all of a sudden, look, Zed's still behind you in gold, but he's had way more impact than you have. He's been in
way more.
13 kills. You've been in 10. And he's been roaming in the early game. Cool.
I'm also like in the mindset of, oh, we win this easy. But
Yeah.
our team wins this easy, but like if I was just there, then we could have won it so much better.
Yeah. You could have won. This game would be over by now if you had grouped in those situations we talked about. Because now you've got all this farm, cool, but you never get to use it because you're constantly dying in suboptimal positions.
Also, I've been in the habit of like recalling in very risky and greedy spots, but like is that all bad? It just saves seconds. I think that's really important.
It's fine. It's always a calculated risk, so always just make it calculated. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's fine. A lot of your recalls here, I've been like, yeah, that's a fine recall. Like, it's not too risky. But again, if you go with the sweepers build, which I think's way more better, because look, you've got 2 trinkets here, you're not even using them. You can just use the sweeper to do dangerous recalls, because if you just activate it as your recall, you're completely fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, is this the last team fight maybe you could have had an influence on? Cool. So look at this. You want to recall for 1,000 gold at 26 minutes. So, in my opinion, completely useless recall. And the next team fight could win this game. So see what Nocturne does here? Both of you recall. But then you continue to channel your recall. This should immediately trigger in your head, I need to cancel my recall and go help. Instead, you recall. He gets maybe a double kill. But look. An entire fight breaks out, all because Nocturne altered. But you recalled for 1,000 gold. I think to buy like a phage or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe
I'm like, oh, he's got Caitlyn. I mean, we're gonna win this next fight. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah. And like maybe your Samira pops off there and gets a triple, but it's like, why do you want the game outcome to be in the Nocturne's hands or the Samira's hands? Why don't you want to take control and win the game?
Especially since Nocturne has been very risky with everything.
Yeah, and that's not even a risky play for you to follow, because 1, Nocturne's engaging first, and 2, you'll get there like 5-6 seconds later, and you'll be able to assess, okay, do I go into this fight or do I not?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a really tough journey for you from here, because you don't have much experience fighting in mid to late game, because like a lot of your games go like this, where you're never actually having a good team fight, and so you don't know what to do. You're like, do I engage this person? Do I flank here? Should I ult this person? But you just simply don't have like the reps in to be like testing and learning and figuring out how I should be fighting as a Yasuo. So we're at a really beginner stage here where the first thing you need to do is just show up to team fights, and you're going to get over the next 10, 20 games that you show up, you're going to start getting a really good feel for what your role is as a fighter, as a Yasuo in team fights. And then after that, we're going to start analyzing your engages into team fights, your positioning, who you're ulting, you know, how you're using your dashes to move around the map. All that kind of stuff. But we're at stage 1 where all you need to do is just show up to these key moments in the game, which you're not doing.
So I take a really risky build, which is IE, but I always go tank item right after.
Yeah.
But what kind of tank items should I get like in these situations where I'm just like buying a really greedy like IE?
Why do you want a tank item?
So I can survive, like, just better sustain team fights.
Okay, what are 2 items that offer really good offensive stats, but are also somewhat defensive? So I take tank as, like, defensive in this situation.
Yeah.
There's 2 items I'm thinking of. Technically 3, but we'll leave one of them out.
Because the thing is, like, I would buy Frozen Heart, but do I really need it? No. Like...
Does that offer offensive stats? So think about items that, well...
I think it does, because, like, I mean, the minus 20% attack speed is, like, it's very good for combat.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, let me clarify. Offensive stats personally for your champion.
Oh, okay. Which is why, like, I built Full Breaker also, because it gives health, base health regen, and 60 attack damage.
Yeah, but you want to be a team fighter. You don't want to be a split pusher as Yasuo, because you don't win games split pushing as Yasuo.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of like why you don't want to be a split pusher as Yasuo, because you've been trying to split push and it's been losing your team the game. So 2 items.
I mean...
1 builds out a stopwatch.
Oh, Guardian Angel, no shit.
Yeah, and what's the other one?
It's
So so Death's Dance is the other one. So Death's Dance and Guardian Angel are 2 perfect defensive items for Yasuo. I think what you're doing is you're overcompensating the need for defense on Yasuo
Yeah.
because you're taking suboptimal fights and you're dying and you're like, oh shit, I keep dying. I need Frozen Heart, or I need this, or I need that. When in reality, all you need to do is show up to the fight 5 seconds earlier and you're fine.
Because like I'm thinking of just like pure tank items and like
Yeah.
with like a little bit of damage.
Yeah, and they're just not gold efficient on a champ like Yasuo. In real unique situations, they might be essential. Like maybe a Yaksho is really good if you're versing an Irelia who also has a Jaksho and you're trying to match her. Maybe that's a good example. But in general, in a particular game like this where all they have is Tahm Kench as a tank, you just need to be going straight damage.
Okay.
And then build defensive. Guardian Angel, perfect item for Yasuo. You go in really hard, cool, you get the revive and then you dash out, or you flash out, or you Gale Force, flash, dash out. You know, you've got so many escape routes. Yeah. Death's Dance is great as well because every time you get a kill, it resets the damage you took. So it's perfect. So that's where I want you to be thinking with defensive items.
Okay.
All right, cool. Let's wrap that up because we're going a little over time. Let's get a notepad up. Okay, cool. What did you learn?
I learned I need to not waste time by farming and just rotating team fights. I need to be playing a lot more around my team. Just like each time I push wave in the early game, I need to be near my jungler. I need to just optimize my entire gameplay in terms of just like being near fights when they occur.
Yeah. Pre-14 versus post-14 ganks. Talk to me a little bit about that and what we discussed.
Unless you get your enemy laner low or in the like recall or something, if you have prio, just rotate. Just be there. Yeah.
And then post-14, it's almost it's basically a hierarchy of like needs in League of Legends. Post-14, CSing is always your lowest priority item to do on your agenda. Like recalling is more important, buying items is more important, resetting for health is more important. Everything is more important than farm, but you have farm more important than Baron. You have farm more important than Dragon. You think farm's more important than fights. You think farm is actually the key to the game almost. Like I don't think you actively think that, but how you play suggests that you think farm is the first thing I need to do, then everything else. Yeah. Whereas you just got to get the priority straight of like the team fight is the priority, the objective, the dragon is the priority. Whatever my team wants to do is the priority. If my team is okay with letting me split push, like if you're all trying to split push and you're all like, and you, Samira and Lulu are perfect at disengaging while you're split pushing and your whole team's really good at baiting out a 4v4 without ever fully committing and you're able to get an inhibitor, that's great. But in silver, in gold, teams aren't going to play like that. They're going to die. They're going to fight because that's what they think they need to do. And if you're not there, you take the game's completely out of your control. And we never want to be out of control in the outcome of the game. Anything else?
Not really, other than like, how will I be able to, this is not necessarily like about this session.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering like, how would I gift, the other coaching session to a friend of mine.
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah, I was confused about that. I'm like,
no, I'll send you a calendar. I'll send you a calendar invite, and he can just book a session whenever.
That's weird.
That's a good one.
I was very confused about that. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do this?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, no, but I learned a lot this session.
Awesome. And it's going to be tough. Like, don't think in your next game you're going to get this right the first time, and maybe you do. But really think about it over your next 10 to 20 games, and next week we'll watch again and see what you're doing differently, and we'll see, are you improving What are you still struggling with? And we're slowly going to build you. You're like at level 0 almost of team fighting. We want to get you to level 1, then level 2, then level 3, until you're this team fight god. And you're like, I want fights because I know I can win the game. Like, I can win the game in 28 minutes if we just have one good team fight. That's how you should be thinking.
Yeah.
Rather than we scale, we win. All I need to do is farm, and then we win late.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so I'm thinking, like, if I just farm, then I'll be able to team fight later on, but I don't even team fight later on.
Mm-hmm. You're always thinking, oh yeah, next time I'll team fight. Next time. Oh, I just need this one more item. I just need this. I just need that. And then all of a sudden the game's over. It's 28 minutes and the game's over.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It's
I was so close to my 5th item. I was about to fight.
It's also the mindset of like, like, why are we team fighting? Like, if there's no objectives up, which I should just be there.
Yeah. Solo queue is weird because, like, it's almost like democracy usually wins. It's basically like whatever your team is majority committing to is usually the most successful play. So if 4 of your team want to fight and you veto no, well, that's just crazy. Because, of course, your team's going to lose the 4v5. Or they have a really big chance of losing that 4v5. So even if you think this is the correct play, and maybe it is the correct play in Diamond or in, you know, Masters or in your head, if your team is wanting to do something else, it's not the correct play in that game, in that context. And we want to be winning games. Therefore, we want to be making the correct decisions in the context of the game we're playing in, rather than what's theoretically the most ideal decision here. Yeah. Cool.
I'm also, like, trying to expand my XP lead, which, as you can see, like, even the Mordekaiser, who's been with the team pretty much the whole time, he's the same amount as me.
Yeah, exactly.
And kills give him a ton of XP. I need to realize that.
Yeah. And again, it's similar to, like, the farm and stuff. XP will come naturally. No one ever falls behind because they're team fighting too much. Mm-hmm. Like, you were 4-0 in lane, you had a 40 CS lead, you're not going to fall behind if you group. Because 1, Zed's grouping, and 2, it's the win condition. There's 50, 60, 70 kills in like 28 minutes. Sorry, there's 60 kills in 28 minutes. Like, that is the win con. There's a kill every minute, and you are only in, like, you know, 30% of them.
So, what if, like, I'm ahead, but my team isn't, and I just know that we're gonna lose a team fight? Like, let's say, Zed was, like, really fed insane for the buy.
Yeah.
Like, and they just, like, completely decimated us. Like, should I, like, still follow my team, or?
It's a real case-by-case basis, and what you usually need to do is, if your team takes the fight, one time, try split pushing. Did it work? So let's say your team gets demolished in the fight and you go split push. Well, what did you get for it? If you only got a tier 2 and they take an inhib, well, that split push wasn't worth it, right? So I'd rather you almost go down with the ship, trying to commit to what your team's doing, if the other thing isn't working. So if you're like, oh, fuck, I got an inhib while my team died, you know, 4v5, well, maybe that's worth in the context of that game. But if you only got one turret and your whole team died and they took an inhib, well, it's better. You may as well just go in there and fight with them, because you're not going to win from split pushing in that situation. You're going to win from maybe having a miracle team fight. Like, this Zed is a great example. He's like, I'm 0-4. I'm just going to group and see if I can win fights with my team. And what ended up happening? He ends up going 6-6 and wins the game. All because he was like, fuck, I'm losing fights. I'm just going to group and see what happens. And that's like the mindset. It's like being able to adapt. So that's a really good example. In short, it's like, try the split push. If it doesn't work, try the grouping. And if it doesn't work, well, maybe the game's just unwinnable, and that's okay, because we're going to have a lot of unwinnable games. And it's okay as long as we tried our best and we tried a lot of different ways to win the game. None of them worked. That's fine. Move on. But never just stick to split pushing because you think you know your team always loses the fight. Because in this game, you were thinking my team always wins the fight, and you were wrong. So chances are your theory of my team always loses this fight could be wrong as well. If you just grouped, maybe you guys do win.